So I first want to ask you, if you remember back to 2020, there's an Onion article actually, kind of a humorous Craig Culver's op-ed saying that he will personally destroy the chances of any candidate who doesn't get their picture taken at Culver's. Obviously, certainly a funny headline there, but kind of underscores the importance of, especially for a Midwestern voter, doing those simple Midwestern things like, eating at Culver's. So now you're on the ticket. You also have an Ohio senator on the ballot as well. How do you win the Midwest there?
Yeah, I would agree with the Culver's best mushroom and Swiss burger in America, as well as Quick Trip, which some of you've known for many, many years. I have been on the bandwagon. Look, I come from this area. Kamala Harris grew up in a middle-class family. I think we're making the case middle-class families, whether they're in the Midwest or the Southeast, the Northeast, or the West, they care about things like health care. They don't want to see Donald Trump repeal the Affordable Care Act. They care about personal decisions, like your own personal reproductive decisions. They care about good jobs and tax cuts for the middle class over tax cuts for the wealthy that Donald Trump is promoting. So I think it's talking to people where they're at, and I think it makes the case that, look, this is where I grew up, this is who I am, but it's where the vice president is at, where Vice President Harris grew up with her mom, working hard to buy them a home. So those are the things we're focusing on. Those are the politics that I think in the Midwest. And look, Midwesterners are good neighbors. They don't like this angry, divisive stuff. They don't like the things that undermines basic rule of law. So I think we're making a really strong case to them.
So now you faced off against J.D. Vance in a debate a couple weeks ago. Now, essentially the winner, it seemed like, was both of you guys for keeping everything so civil in politics. How were you able to accomplish that? Why did you guys get along so well?
Well, I think the one thing, and again, it depends on how true the statements are coming out of that. Look, I think that's my Midwestern personality. I can't speak for Senator Vance, but look, I was a legislator who was willing to find common solutions, not compromise our values. And Kamala Harris has done that her entire life, working across the aisle to find solutions. And I think that is in direct contrast. And I think you're right. I think Americans appreciate it. It seemed kind of old school, but that's not Donald Trump. Senator Vance was not speaking Donald Trump's language. He was not acting like Donald Trump. Over the weekend, Donald Trump said he might use the army on people he disagrees with. I'll let the lawyers decide how serious that goes, but that's not who we are. I think if Donald Trump spoke the way that we speak about working together, I don't think Americans would be quite so concerned, but they are, because they know who he is.
So earlier this spring, albeit when you weren't on the ticket, we saw a significant number of Democrats voted uninstructed in a protest vote. In Minnesota, that was around 45,000. In Wisconsin, here is about 48,000. And for example, I've seen yard signs as I've been walking my dog, where it's a Free Palestine yard sign next to a Jill Stein yard sign as well. How do you capture that kind of pro-Palestinian vote on the Democratic side there?
Yeah, we just in Minnesota had a large group of folks, of Muslim voters, endorse the campaign. They're speaking for concerns that they have, and that's fine. But I think an understanding is this is a choice between Donald Trump's reckless policies that our allies don't trust him. Dictators love him because he wants to be one, and he has no plan. His chief of staff to the himself said Donald Trump's most dangerous person out there. You saw Mark Milley from the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying, look, this guy's a fascist type of thing. So I think the biggest thing is these voters know that it was Donald Trump who put a Muslim ban. These are also folks that are concerned about health care, and they're concerned about good schools, and they're concerned about fairness in taxation. So I think they'll come home at the end of the day, because the choice here is not a third party candidate or a protest vote. The choice here is moving the country in a new way forward that Kamala Harris is talking about, or taking us back to the chaotic Trump years. And I think once that vote is cast, they'll come back home.
Now, I believe I saw over the weekend you were out pheasant hunting, if I see that correctly. Rural voters certainly have been a tough ticket for Democrats to get. Tammy Baldwin in Wisconsin has done some inroads certainly there in western Wisconsin. But what would your pitch be for those rural voters to vote Democrat?
Yeah, well, our policies are the ones that are going to benefit you. Donald Trump wanted to cut things, especially the farm programs. His horrific tariffs will have a bigger impact on rural. And issues like education. He's talking about voucherizing schools. Where are you going to find a private school in small communities in western Wisconsin? You know that's not the case, or undermining the ability to be able to find good jobs in those communities. We're seeing manufacturing come back after Donald Trump's disastrous policies. So I think talking to them about the issues, talking about real things that matter to them, them, and making sure that we don't fall into this thing that Donald Trump goes. He goes to places like Detroit and demonizes this. We're in this together. This whole manufactured urban-rural split. We're Americans, whether it's in the natural disaster. Donald Trump's talking about not giving aid to places based on how they vote. That is the most un-American thing you could do. And I think rural Wisconsin, rural Pennsylvania, rural Minnesota, rural Michigan, or for that matter, rural Texas understands that the policies that we're putting forward benefit them far more than Donald Trump's policies.